We are going to continue with our asset production for the upcoming Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we'll be publishing on DMsGuild as soon as it's finished. So give me a second here to check my signal, go through my spiel, and then we'll do some ship art for a couple hours. Hold on. We'll do some ship art for a couple hours. All right, that sounds like it's coming through clean. So let me go ahead and hit on Twitter that I am live. If you follow me on Twitter, I've just posted that I'm live. So to find out when I'm live in the future, hit the bell icon, subscribe, like, and you can follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. I'm going to just punch across the Discords real quick, and then we'll be good to go. So while I do that, I'll do my quick spiel. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create D&D or role-playing supplements. I've been focusing on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, publishing on DMsGuild. There's actually a slew of work that I've already done down in the description. You can click on any of those supplement links, and it'll take you to the DMsGuild, where you can click on the free preview by, if you're on mobile, clicking the little eye icon that's on the right-hand side of the product page, or if you're on a desktop or tablet. The product page for each individual supplement has quick preview and full preview underneath the cover art on the left-hand side of the description. Click on the full preview and it will pop open a PDF. You can read all of my work cover to cover, 100%. The list of books that we have down here is probably about 150 different illustrations that I've created to place in there. So whether you think the mechanics are interesting or not, certainly be welcome to traipse through those and take a look at the artwork that we do. Because we'll be doing artwork for this book and all the other supplements that we create here on stream in the future as well. So that's my quick spiel. Let me drop down here real quick, and help me out by liking, subscribing, hitting the bell. Apparently YouTube has a hate for long form artwork like I do, so the only way for me to really be able to stay up and at 'em okie doke is by folks actively supporting with the likes, the clicks, the subs. Big thanks to folks that subscribed yesterday. I really appreciate you. And so we built this book cover, I think it was like around episode 12 to 15 or something like that. So you can check the Spelljammer playlist to see this, as well as the other 80 episodes of content that we produce, talking through the mechanics, as well as the different art assets that we've been producing. And today, we are continuing our fightercraft or flying infernal machines. So the way, if you've gone through the playlist and caught up with all the stuff, you know that we have a scaling from 5 feet individual characters, like medium-sized, small-sized creatures at the 5-foot scale, that can run around on the decks of ships as well as inside of dungeons and castles and stuff. And then you have at the 500, like fitting inside of a 500-foot, are these larger Spelljammer vessels like damselflies, wasps, hammerhead ships that are well over 50 feet in size, but not 500 feet in size. They kind of like a halfling in a 5-foot square. The vessels sit inside a 500-foot square, like a hammerhead ship is 250 feet long, so it's like literally the size of a halfling at the 500-foot scale, for instance. And then you've got that transition from 5 feet to 500 feet. You've got a 50-foot scale. This is where your infernal war machines from Descent into Avernus sit as vehicles, as smaller scale vehicles, bigger than horses, smaller than boats. We actually began these mechanics using infernal war machines as a means of having better infernal war machines, or faster, more free to use, less fragile, while also being less indestructible, because there's a balance issue with infernal war machines. If you haven't noticed them, that there's a large disparage between the different types of mechanics that infernal war machines use. So as part of our In Command of Armies, Guilds, and Kingdoms project, we were able to deconstruct and rebuild vehicles such as infernal war machines to use the same general mounted animal sort of mechanics that we have throughout that series of work. And when Spelljammer came out, we realized that vessels are basically just 500-foot scale legions of troops, but consolidated into a single vehicle, similar to how we use infernal war machines. So that allowed us to smoothly curve from the 5-foot scale through the 50-foot scale into the 500-foot scale. And then if you check the earlier episodes of our play stream, you can see how that scales out to like the Imperial Citadel and Lies Zaraxis into the 1 mile scale, etc., which then kind of paved the way for us to be able to build massive objects and how you scale like collision damage and stuff. It all curved together from that 550, 500, 5,000 foot scaling system that I keep referring to throughout the documents that we're working on, and the play and all the design work that we talk about here. So these flying infernal war machines. These are 5-foot squares here. This is a 50-foot square. So this what we're working on right now is the Spiderling. So the Spiderling is basically it's a fast, loose, fast ship. Fast twice. That's how fast it is. It's a quick little vessel. It's a quick little ship that is able to act as either a jump ship, a landing ship, or as a fighter craft to get inside the gravity fields of enemy ships and stay inside that gravity field and harass the crew, harass the weapons, and to deal damage to whatever the vessel is. So fighter craft in the space opera scale campaign sort of mindset, fighter craft are super useful because they let you get into the gravity wake and stay in there on enemy ships, so you can just harass them. Even though craft can't jump and move like actual spelljamming vessels can, once they get inside your gravity field, you got to get them out of there if you want to get clear, and like you got to get them off your back basically if you want to clear your obstacles. So they got a lot of stickiness to them. They offer a lot of additional threat, and they're a fantastic transition from damaging ships to damaging crew and individuals on the deck without having to necessarily hit them with siege weapon levels of damage, dealing 20 to 80 points of damage or something like that. Just absolutely grease paint most characters until they hit like 9th plus level. So fighter craft offer a way to have ship-to-ship combat that engages characters individually, as well as threaten ships and siege weapons, as well as other fighter craft, obviously, without having to place a huge critical risk onto the characters or their ship, if that's something that the DM wants to protect. So they're dealing like 2d8, 2d10 damage per pop, as opposed to like d8 times 10 damage per pop, which you would see from like a mangonel. So there's a gentle curve from that 550, 500 foot scaling that allows the characters to be able to endure battles the same as they would at the 5-foot scale inside of dungeons. It's just with larger and larger frames around them that they're operating. And so anyway, ranting on like that. You'll see this all in the book. Like I said, all my work is 100% free preview. So once all this stuff is published and actually on the DMsGuild, that's going to give us an opportunity to come back here on stream and just basically do a page turn through and allow me just to pontificate and ramble on about whatever mechanics happen to be on that specific page. So once this thing actually publishes, we'll have the opportunity to have that process and do like a full formal walkthrough and design notes and all that shit I just literally just said. So, but for now, let me get back to work. So I'm pretty happy with how this sits. It's got a sameness to it though that I am finding to be a little unsatisfying. So I'm going to come in here and fix this a bit, and then we're going to jump to probably the cuttlefish. So hold on real quick. Let me see what we can do. See, I like to have the vehicles, since this is a 10 by 10 space of 5-foot squares, right? So that means this is 40 feet long in total from tip to tail. I tend to like to have things that wide as well, if possible, either through the wings, legs, etc. And in this instance, you can see that I'm able to achieve that here by changing the angle of this secondary leg. So that probably means I'm going to change the angle of this secondary leg as well, but we'll get there in a moment. I love Spelljammer. It is such a kick-ass setting. I've been using Spelljammer in my Eberron campaign, I want to say, for the past 8 years. That feels about right. I started using Spelljammer with Numenera when I was running Eberron as a Numenera as a Cypher system space opera campaign, and it worked so well that I kept ciphers in my Eberron Adventure 5th edition, basically as just temporary magic items that can get thrown away. So cipher is super cool. Heavily recommend that system. But yeah, the 5th edition, of course, is both more simple and complicated than a lot of role-playing games, in that it has more complicated rules in general than like they're not simple rules. 5e is not just like quote-unquote simple. It is a complicated set of mechanics, but it's also very trite in that it doesn't go into a lot of mechanical depth or explanation. Hey, Hornetico, as to like the world building or like the Ludo narrative, like why WotC doesn't spend a lot of time explaining why the mechanics that they choose for 5th edition is a good match to the narrative that they're trying to express. It's very sterile. It's clunky in some instances, but sterile in that they don't really have a lot of narrative that goes into that's the problem with 5e in general, is that it's using the same dice resolution mechanics for virtually everything that you can do inside the game. So there isn't a lot of flavor that's intrinsic to 5e resolution mechanics. But at the same time, that lack of flavor allows you to kind of imprint flavor onto it yourself. So I'm not disparaging the 5e system at all. It is by far my favorite version of Dungeons and Dragons to date. But all this is simply to say that its lack of depth honestly offers a shitload of design space for people like myself and other creators to flesh out the missing bits, you know? Which is what people like me really geek out on doing, is fleshing out those mid bits. Anyway, I'm on serious ramble mode already this morning, so cheers to that, y'alls. We'll do that. I'll fuse this down. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Hold on real quick. Let me clean up this edge here real quick, and then we'll look at it. I have finished the... there it is. Good. I finished the scaffolding for the manuscript. So we were going with chapter header, section header, subsection, sub, and then down to body. We were generally looking at 36, 30, 24, 18, 12, 10, and using that general layout, regardless of the font size for each individual piece. We've now broken down the full document from tip to tail. Through combat, this is the full breakdown of the sections and subsections by font size. So see, it just keeps going. It's 103 pages worth of sections. So like yada yada. We simplified like each spell description and the notable spells when when you're amplifying spells and you're modifying the amplified spells. Here's the mechanics for that. Here's talking about spell amplifiers that allow you to amplify spells. Then here's the amplifier mechanics that go through, and then we have the notable spells. These are all inside the amplified spell section. So these subsections have equal weight and value, like spell amplifiers, and modifying amplified spells is intrinsic to spell amplifiers, but is a separate subject from spell amplifiers. But they both sit inside what it means to amplify spells. Like, what is amplifying spells? Well, you have to amplify spells with a spell amplifier. What is amplifying spells? Well, they're spells that are modified. So you would potentially have a means of amplifying spells without needing a spell amplifier, which is a cool, say, artificer subclass that we can offer once this thing publishes, so that we don't have too much sprawl inside the core document. Like a spell amplifying artificer is a cool subclass that you could basically build as a kit to attach onto any spellcasting character as potential like meta magic, or infusions, invocations, or just a feat that allows for amplification without using a device. So those mechanics sit separately from each other, and then again separately from those is the actual spells that use spell amplifiers that are modified by amplified spells inside the amplifying spell section. So that's how we have like that amplifying as its like larger subsection as a section, and then these three things are subsections. And then once you get into the notable spells, then you have each spell level that is notable, and then inside of that you have the actual description of each spell, so you can see how the hierarchy here works. But that is a huge font spread. Actually the most complicated or deepest tree that we get is actually down in Light of Xeraxis, where we get into the actual attacking the Citadel section, which is part 4, Saviors, and then chapter 10 is Space Invaders, and then attacking the Citadel, and then the text blurbs. And you can see how it goes from 36 up here in Light of Xeraxis itself, converting Light of Xeraxis. And then each part in the adventure, there's 4 parts. Those have that top tier subsection, and then you have each chapter as a subsection within each part. And then inside the chapter, there's specific events inside of each chapter, and we break down each of those events inside the chapter at this 3rd tier font. And then from the 3rd tier font, it breaks down further into the components that are inside of each section. Like aboard the Moondancer introduces you to the ship and the crew of the Moondancer, so you can see you have the Moondancer, and then you have the roles and equipment on the Moondancer that are relevant to adventuring, and then you have the actual crew actions that take place aboard the aboard the Moondancer. And then you have the actual attack of the Star Moth, which is you've introduced yourself to the Moondancer, and now you have when Elves attack, which is the next event that happens inside Chapter 2. Replacement blurb that we provide. Dark Star, which is the ship, the enemy ship. It's using the same hierarchy structure that we have here for the Moondancer. The different roles and equipment that are relevant to the Dark Star. And then you have conducting the adventure, or conducting the encounter, which is how the team can resolve combat and rules and stipulations of interacting with the Dark Star, and then it continues on from there. So you can see how this hierarchy works, but in the end of it, the font size that we have keyed up here initially is probably going to be intolerably large. So as a heads up, I stream Monday through Saturday. this Saturday, last Saturday, we started doing layouts by breaking these things down. And now that we have the full supplement section hierarchy resolved, what we'll do on stream this Saturday is actually start taking the actual supplement here and breaking down each of these sections into the actual font sizes. And I suspect this is the font sizes that we're actually going to use. So what we'll do is we'll like take the ship materials section here and we'll break it into like this 24, 20, 16, 14, 12, 10 font hierarchy nesting. And we can, in comparison, look at like we can go down to like just pick a section, and then we can just take a font sizing hierarchy of either like this 36, 30, 24, 18, 12, 10, which is probably going to be far too massive to be practical. And then we can weigh it against the 24, 20, but in the end it may end up being like 10, 12, 15, 20, 22, 30. I don't know yet. So that's what we'll do this Saturday. So we're going to actually get more into token production now. Tonight it's Thursday, so I will have bedtime stream tonight. Will be we're again working on the Eberron map some more for the Eberron adventure, and then tomorrow morning we'll be back to do more token work, and then Saturday we'll be doing the more layouts. And once we go through that layout process on Saturday, then I'll be off screen and I'll lay in the font colors that we have, and I'll build out all the sections to the proper font size. And then from there, we are just breaking text down page by page into blocks. And once we get these tokens off of our plate, we'll be able to move our morning stream or evening, whatever stream, whenever we're doing Spelljammer stuff in the future, whenever we have these tokens cleared from our plate, then we'll be committing full time to only doing page layout work. And so that will mean if the page layout work is entertaining for folks to watch, then I'll be streaming a lot of the page layout work. If it's not, then I'll probably backburn I'll probably take back layouts offline and focus my morning streams probably on Eberron map design instead, and just save. We'll see. We'll see if this stuff is interesting to people or not. And if it's not, then I won't waste anyone's time with it. If it is, if folks do like it and it resonates, if I get comments that people like watching this layout work, then I am happy to continue doing layout works online. It's just a matter of is it going to be interesting at all? And that is honestly a legitimate, debatable question. So, if Indestructiboy's stream is any indication, then signs kind of point towards it's entertaining, but I don't have the same audience that he does. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll slide this into position. There, good design. Let's continue. So this abdomen is large enough, like literally it's large. So like, for instance, D&D Beyond. So Umber Hulks are large, right? So that means that an Umber Hulk could fit in this abdomen, like it could you know, could easily sit inside of this abdomen, and if the abdomen could, say, open up, then the Umber Hulk would be able to drop out, say, onto the deck of your ship and start rampaging. Which is a great tactic. But the abdomen can also be used as a detention cell slash slave pen for up to 4 medium-sized creatures, right? So this is kind of like a fetch, like a fetching ship, right? Like the Night Spider itself is huge and can hold a lot of chattel for sale. A lot of inventory, I guess, might be the way that the Theurgy would put it. Flatten this out. So I want to build this out as at some point we're going to move away from, okay, so we're doing floor plans and we're doing token art. So the token art only needs to worry about the exterior shell and what can be just normally visible on the token, like we've done with the vessels in the previous episodes. But we are also doing the floor plans for these craft. And the spiderling, the cuttlefish, and the flitter are large enough to have an interior and exterior space, while the skiff was so small that it was just basically an open deck with a pilot's chair and weapons. But these larger craft can have enclosed environments. So we're going to have to spend a little time building out the floor plans for the levels, but I don't want to specifically get into that right now. I'm more interested in getting the floor plans done, like in general, so that I have the basic outline that we can then go through and we can build the layers to for the different floors. But for now, I get to put a hinge here. So we'll widen out that abdomen to fill up that hinge space. Just like that. I have that, and then we can... Oh shoot, I just locked up. I need to restart it. Oh my gosh, I gotta set my timer. Thank you. Still have about about 90 minutes. We're doing good. Let's see. So we can have, Since spelljamming helms allow the pilot to basically possess the body of the ship, the helmsman doesn't have to, or the pilot doesn't have to have doesn't have to be exposed. Like, you can stay under deck even on these little fighter craft, right? So I am currently building a little separator here that'll end up looking like a shell when it's done. It's very Neogi by nature to have the captain or the slave master of the ship be the helmsman, and then all of the auxiliary crew and weapon people to be basically slave warriors that are exposed to risk by being in an open deck, while the Neogi commander remains safely under deck, even on a small craft like this. Not to say that, I mean, the elves and the Elithid nautiloid, those are cuttlefish. They also follow the same design principle, but I think it's particularly relevant for the Neogi just because of how selfish they are by nature. But still, this is filling a 1, 2, 3, 4 large size space, which is what's needed for this ballista. But this ballista weapon system could be replaced instead with mounted weapons. So you could have mounted weapons and then duplicate that layer. You can have mounted weapons here, and they could be multiple types of mounted weapons. But right now we're looking at harpoon flingers, but they could also be arcane cannons that are equipped here. So there's a variety of gear that you could use instead of just instead of a ballista. But ballista, so you have this would be the ballister format, which is a ship harasser damaging actual vessels. But then there's also a boarding ship, which is more interested in dealing. I put those here. This a boarding ship would like have an umber hulk in its abdomen, and then would have slave crew that were firing mounted weapons. And of course the Neogi is this would be isolated, like this can close off and this can close off, so the Neogi commander could remain isolated and separate from its slave crew, so it doesn't get mutinied in the process of attacking, so it can retain control. But there's a variety of formats that we can build with this, and in the Neogi hunt scenario in chapter 4, we see a couple different types of spiderlings in conjunction with a night spider attacking the ship's crew, attacking the crew's ship. Sorry. Some of the edges on there. Transform, it goes flip horizontal now, baby. lined up. Very nice. Nice. I like how this looks. I love doing these ship decks, man. It is so fun. Just map making. This year has just really revealed to me how much I love maps and floor plans and just cartography in general. It's always been such a low priority to me as a DM, and I've talked about that before, about minimizing effort to conceal when you're being when you are improvising, so you aren't letting the metadata of your assets reveal when you're prepared, when you have something prepared or not. But stepping past that into just the art of it, I just love producing this stuff, man. It is so freaking fun. Give this guy a little window in case he gets scuttled. Yeah, I'll leave that blind. That is our general floor plan. So this can get cut off, this can open, this can get sealed, this can get sealed, so that the helmsman is isolated, weapons deck, and then when we come back through and build the full floor plan, we'll have a cover for this, we'll have a cover for this, so we'll have a yeah, I still like that. So once the floor plan is complete, then we'll be able to come back through and we'll be able to colorize it. There we go. Hey, Picky. Picky nuts. Picky nuts. Good. Save. Good enough for now. So that is the Spiderling. Next on deck, let's go with the Flitter. Flitter looks stupid right now. I need to fix it. This too has an open up deck, but it's less, I guess, oppressive feeling. Yeah, I want to rebuild. I want to rebuild this so it looks better. It just looks. I just think it looks dumb right now. So maybe no one else was gonna say it, but I said it. Duplicate the layer. This shall be called Flitter. So let's rebuild this thing. That's where our gear sits. get cracking. The flitter is the largest of the fighter craft that we're building today, filling the actual 50-foot space. It's like you can have this is like actual size compared to this damselfly that we have here. So you can see the flitters is it's that big in comparison to the damselfly in general, right? So it's a comparable mass, but it's still small enough to be propelled by a minor helm. You could of course drop a major helm into any craft and be able to move at the same speed as the larger vessels can, but the real advantage to fighter craft is that minor helms go a lot slower, so they're horrible for travel between worlds. They literally take 100 times longer to get anywhere than between worlds than what a full-size vessel can. But they're cheap as hell, so if you only need them to hop from a planet to its moon, that's something that could be reasonably done inside of a craft. But if I'm gonna fly from one world to another, where it's gonna take a day of travel between worlds at 100 million miles, that takes 3 months for a craft to pull that off. It is a hell of a journey, because they just can't move as fast as full-size vessels can. And full-size vessels, of course, can be significantly larger. That all kind of curves together. 3. Don't know if that's all right. I know we're keeping the door. Let's start with the door. Of all the things we're gonna start with, let's start with a stupid door. So bravo. I do like that window. I don't necessarily like how wide it is. What can we do to narrow that down? Let's do this. Yeah, that feels right. I'm okay with keeping this. do like that. Right. What about that chair, though? I don't know about that. Let's go to... What can we do? Push the helm to there. Thin this up a bit. Yeah, that feels right. And then mounted weapon here. The actual idea of an arcane cannon came from the Elven Flitter originally. In second edition, it was basically a rocket cycle with a helm and then a spell cannon attached to the front nose of it. We're making it a far larger vessel than what was depicted in second edition, but that's just because we got style. I actually feel like we don't. Contemplating. One moment. See, that ballista can actually be top deck, like on the top of the ship. So we'll keep that in mind. Put the door here. It's going to open up a little bit more space over here. Cool. That's it. Woohoo! Keep it going. There you go. I'm pretty happy with that. Drop this down to here. That'll do. That'll doodle. Merge down. I'm on the screen? No, I'm not. Sorry about that. Falling into it. Still not super cool though. I have ideas, but we'll get to them. Right now, let's figure out where our line is supposed to be on this. See, it feels like it wants to be like larger like that, but I don't have the design space to do that. It's the constraints in a project that makes the project interesting. We have to have rules that we follow to make things happen, and designing within those rules is why we get paid the big bucks, which is kind of like why I was talking about 5th edition and just the general mechanics of it earlier on. Because the flavor is so neutral in the system in general, like its Ludo narrative is honestly pretty weak. But that allows us to morph the mechanics into whatever kind of narrative that we need. Like, what are hit points? Hit points can be any number of things. It's just a resource that gets ticked down to increase risk level that the characters are experiencing during an adventure. Hit points can easily just be like a heist clock, and when you run out of heist hit points, like when you run out of heist points, your heist fails, for instance. And go ahead and take that as a hint that I am slow cooking some 5e heist mechanics that would work with keys to the Golden Vault and other heist ideas for 5th edition. I have them. There's just I've got a couple other products I need to put out first before I can really dive into 5e heists, but they exist. I can see how they work. It's just everything in its place, everything in its due time. I bet I could pull that in a bit, create a little bit more space for me to play with. Something like that. Yeah, that's feeling. It's feeling better. So much better already. Much better already. I like this song a lot. They're looking a little thin. Oh, it's the abdomen that's looking a little. That's what it is. We gotta bring this in. This will work better. Ah. So let's see, the slow grind to finish up the NPC portraits for the... Oh, right on, man. Yeah, I totally feel you there. I am really looking forward to getting into all the portraits for the Eberron adventure. That is, God, it's such a great component. What's your workload on NPCs? Like, how many do you have to do? Ah, there we go. That looks much better. Five portraits, one full body design, two more portraits, one more full body, depending on layout things. There could be a few more. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, don't kill yourself over it, but don't close off any options to you either, because you may find that you need to reformat something at some point, and just some simple spot art goes a long way to fill in any kind of gaps that open up during that process. You'll probably see some of that from me as well. I am really looking forward to getting these layouts done so I can actually get into the meat of actual illustration. I'm still trying to figure out the kind of look that I want to the illustrations overall in both this and the Eberron book. I'm not honestly sure yet. The trick is deciding whether I should make portraits for every named NPC or just the important ones. That is the challenge that we face, my friend. Consistency is the key. Create a rule for yourself and stick to it. That way you have it as a logic point to fall back on. Kind of like with detail, you don't want to hard commit one specific illustration that ends up looking just so much better than the rest of the work that it's imbalanced. You have to find a way to make that higher quality image resonate with the rest of the document without looking like it's outclassing it, you know? I face that problem when I'm doing interior art all the time, which is why I talk about doing things in waves. So you're doing all the different compositions at the same time, at the same pace, so that none of them in particular have more detail than the last. And if you go through a technique evolution, that you can integrate that properly into the works that you're already inside of, without having to derail too much of your previous effort, that kind of thing. So far the portraits have been all for the key NPC. Good. But chapter 2 has a couple of random side NPCs that I may or may not do art for. Yeah. Yeah. That, my friend, is why we get paid the big bucks. High-level decisions like that. Do that. Pretty sure something like that. Still waffling on whether it's better to put in the guild or the okay. So for everything is OGL compliant, but it wouldn't have nearly as much spread if I did it that way. Yeah, that's a trick, my man. That's why I lean so much. That's why I'm leaning so much into captured IPs, Wizards IPs, when I like my adventures. Like the adventures I'm designing are either Spelljammer, Dragonlance, Descendant Avernus, or Eberron. And like Eberron is like a grab bag of like, it could just be random adventures. But if I'm going to be on the DMs Guild, I'm going to want to either use Forgotten Realms or Eberron. Because those have a lot of like curve appeal, you know, like there's a lot of people looking for content for those two campaigns specifically. That way you like locking yourself into the DMs Guild by using Wizards IP specifically helps get rid of the sting of what if. If you fuse your DMs Guild work to the hip of whatever IPs are captured inside of the DMs Guild, it couldn't go anywhere else. So there's no pain point involved with that. If you're just building something generic that like you could put out as just OGL, then what you're really saying is that I've got a Patreon that I can put this thing through that people are going to pick up on. I can put this on itch.io, I can put this on DTRPG, and I can market it through my own website. So you have multiple points of access that you can distribute that thing through. And if you don't have any of those distribution channels, then it becomes really questionable about what kind of actual exposure is it going to have. So if it's just a generic adventure, it quote-unquote it certainly benefits you as a creator to keep it in OGL, but like you're inciting there, if you don't actually have any of those chains of distribution established yet, then it may as well not be published at all if no one's going to see it. So I think I've made this point before, but this is a great opportunity for me to harp on it again. DMs Guild is a great place for you to be able to build a book of business that can show people. It becomes your film reel, like your sizzle reel, right? Like here's the work that I've done in the past that's easily referenceable and has a market that could continue to build off of it while it remains basically just a resume for you to then outsource your stuff to other things, other projects, or just beyond, like into Kickstarters and stuff like that. I mean, your mileage may vary. and I certainly don't want to dictate how you do business for yourself. But that is absolutely my game plan. Like by the time I get done with modifying all of these different campaign settings and adventures that I like that Wizards produced, once I'm done with that stuff, then it becomes a point of, am I ready to do my own thing independently that I can then use that body of work as a reference, or this is the kind of quality that you can expect from me in my own project. If you back me on these other projects, then back my Kickstarter too. So it's a great place for you to be able to, build some credibility for yourself as a brand and for yourself as a designer and a creator. Not to say it should be on the DMsGuild. I'm just saying that's the benefit of being on the DMsGuild. But if you're not leaning into the IPs that Wizards lets you use for their 50% cut, you're giving them free money. You want to, in my opinion, you want Wizards to pay for your presence, and they're paying through the IPs that they grant you free access to. So, all things being anyway, that's my philosophy behind it. I don't want to dictate what your proper choice is, because I'm certainly not a successful businessman in this industry. That's for sure. So, take my opinion with a huge grain of salt, because I might not be all that. As much as I'd like to be. I'm not yet. How do we want to do this? Like this, maybe? No, I definitely want to keep it the same format as this. I won Raw! Oh. God, it's 7:30 already. Where does the time go, my man? Fair point, though. I tend to work on stuff completely isolated from the various Wacky IPs, so it's something to consider. Yeah. I mean, that's my philosophy behind it. I'm gonna open up this space. I can still do this here like that. trim that in just a bit. I think it'll make the overall profiles a little better looking. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's duplicate it. Let's see how it sits. Transform, flip horizontal now, baby. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. still be better. I think I'm in my last 20 minutes. Yeah, 20. That would take us to 55. Yeah, this is our last 20 minutes. So let's see what we can do with it. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I'm okay. Thicken up these walls here for some structural integrity. Oh, that feels good. Just, yes. That forward angle, that is good. I am pretty happy with that. Nice. All right, I think I'm happy with that. Let's duplicate and flip. Transform. Horizontal. Yep, all right, I think that sits. And here is the piece de la resistance. What happened here? Entry point onto the ship. Merge that down. I'm particularly happy with that. So you can walk in through here to get aboard the ship. Merge down, and then we've got the tail, which also opens just like the spiderling does. So let's so this can open up, and this is a separate door to access in here. So here's your storage, here's a door, here's a door into the ship. And this is a this is a ladder that leads up deck. Take this. Compelling. Probably change these H's to P's for pilot. We'll fix that. Yeah, pretty happy with that. And I still got, you know, space for a cot over here, or like if I wanted to make this like a personal yacht sort of affair, I could like have a bed here and table and stuff, and have that as a door. And I could then open this up completely so that it's just one flow through as just one larger chamber. I'll leave it separated as something that can be closed off for now though. And then when we come back in and finish building this out, we can set the weapon here on the top deck. So this ladder leads to the top, and then up top here we can have like this little turret area where this ballista can sit, so the ladder up to it doesn't get in the way. I think that's going to work out. Pretty happy with that. It's not perfect. Ideally, this abdomen would be like out to here, so it'd be more like this. But that's more space than the 50 foot and the 50 feet allow. So I can't really do that there. What if I brought this in like that? Kind of like that. Oh, that does feel better. That feels a lot better. Wow, what a subtle change. I like it. I like it. Yeah, okay, so that's gonna work. So let's cut all of this out. And replace it with this. That does look better. Admin still feels a little short. Cuts down the living space a little bit, but I like it though. I think that's good. I hear you. That means, yeah, it's 7:54. So we got a few minutes left. Free transform. Flip horizontal. Now, all right, looking much more balanced now. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to just check that out. And then copy, paste, flip, and then we'll be done. Horizontal. Okay, so merge that down. Oh yeah, oops. Paste, free transform, flip horizontal, get that in position. Yeah, that's much more. That's much better. All right, it's not done, but it's at a place where I can move on to the next piece, which is the cuttlefish. So that's where that's our cuttlefish, where we're going to start. So when we come back tomorrow, we'll work on the cuttlefish. And then once we have the basics for that, once we have the basics for that complete, then we'll go through all of them again to do for the spiraling, the flitter, and the nautiloid, the cuttlefish. We'll do the top floor, the upper deck. So they'll have a proper deck plan, and then once we have those deck plans done. We'll then go through and do color tokens for all of them, just like we have for the, just like we did for the vessels. So that's it for today. We are going to be back tonight in about 11 hours. We'll be back in 11 hours for a couple hours worth of Eberron stuff. So like, subscribe, hit the bell. Be welcome to follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, but more than anything, I need more subscribers here on YouTube. We've just about hit 1,000 hours of viewed content. I need 4,000 hours of viewed content and I need 1,000 subscribers for me to be able to monetize this channel, so that I can keep doing this and getting paid directly for the work that I do here on stream, which will then be able to support the sales that we have for the DM's books that we have down in the descriptions down below. And that will hopefully be able to curve us into doing Kickstarter campaigns in the next couple years. So help me build this thing up, like, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys checking this thing out. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. If you know where I'm at on Discord, you're welcome to kick out at me there. And you're most welcome to PM me or ping me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. I am, boy oh boy, I'm getting really excited. Really excited about this. I'm super looking forward to Saturday when we start doing the layouts for this book for reals. And yeah, so I will see you guys hopefully I'll see you in 11 hours. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks so much.